Camera is on, microphone's on. Who says?
I do. I'm the boss.
Hello, Wingate. Hi, everybody. The Bray is on. I'm going to look real quick and see if anybody maybe sent in any questions yet. Oh, I did get some puppy time. Let's see. Okay, I don't see any questions yet, so I'm just going to start talking. How is everybody? So today, as you probably saw, Flossie got a little more halter training, but we actually left the barn and walked around a bit, and she did really, really awesome. She did great, and she did fabulously. I mean, she gave me a little bit of an issue, and then it was great puppy training for, you call them the littles, or I don't even know if they call them the littles anymore. I call them the biggles, but they were doing a lot of, barking and interacting, so it was a good training opportunity for Haley and the dogs too. And then it was really interesting trying to get Flossie back in the stall, because it was the first time I took her out. I didn't really think it through. I should have closed the stall doors to the outside. So when I tried to bring her back in, everybody was gathered at the door, so I couldn't get her in. She didn't want to come into that group, and so I went down to Mo's stall, and I opened that one and go to pull her, and then I'm like, well, maybe if I just take the lead off and just lure her in with a cookie. Well, in comes Poppy, in comes Clover. I run down, close the door to the barn, and then, of course, what did I do? I had to go get Haley. I'm like, Haley, help. So, yeah, it was not the brightest move. But we got them all back in, and that was a good thing. Also, there were some interesting things that I kind of gathered from my reading voraciously of The Donkey Companion, which is a great book. If anybody's interested in donkeys, it gives more information than you'd probably ever want. But I've learned a lot of things. And some of the things that I found interesting is that there's really only four different types of donkeys in North America. And another thing that I found absolutely fascinating is that they claim that any donkey that ever got loose, made it into the wild, they would flourish. That they become feral and very self-reliant, even if they've never been on their own before, which I thought was pretty interesting. What else did I learn? Hi, Kathy. And I don't know if you want me to tell everybody. There is a lovely person, one of our camera people, Kathy, Miss Cammie, who told me today that she ordered 5 insulators for the water buckets, probably because I was whining so stringently on Sunday about how it was just impossible to keep them ice-free with it being so cold. So that's amazing. Thank you, Kathy. How's Flossie's training? Well, it's going slowly. I wish I was here more than I am. I think I would be making strides a lot quicker. And since I'm kind of the only one trying this training with her, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if other people should be. But because it's just me and I'm only here last week I was here a lot because Monica hadn't been here, and so I was here quite a few days, but then a couple of them were a little too cold to really, for me to want to stick around and do a whole lot of training. And so the training is going really, really well. She gives feet like anybody's business, and she did that right from the beginning. As soon as I tell her foot and I lift at all, she just immediately lifts her feet. So she's great that way. And it would be good to really get Fred on board with this training regime as well. So maybe we will do that. Let's see. Are there any more questions? I know, the insulators, isn't that awesome? I'm so excited. I can't believe how generous and lovely that is. That's a wonderful thing. Oh, I just made a mistake. Oh, there we go. And let's see if there's any other questions. No, there's no questions. You guys have to ask questions or this is not going to last very long. Yeah, I think the insulators for the buckets will definitely keep them thawed longer because the other day, Sunday, with it being 10 degrees when I was here, in 30 minutes they would have a layer of ice. And donkeys will not bust through ice. Mules will, donkeys won't. I know, but Mo won't do it for everybody else. And Mo is like, my bucket's good.
Have a good night.
Oh, are you leaving?
Yeah.
Bye, Haley. Thanks for all your help today. Yeah, we had to. So I have a little bone to pick with my camera people today. I got a message from Marianne from Equine Rescue Network, and she wanted me to measure Romeo for a vest and boots for the therapy that Romeo is going to be doing. And then she said, because there were so many complaints, Romeo's going to Hamilton and leaving Crazy Acres. And I'm really disappointed because Romeo's really doing well. I mean, doing really, really well. Today I asked Skipper to go for a walk, and Skipper loves to go for walks. And you always get tag-alongs. I don't call people or call donkeys or animals. I just kind of, say, Skipper, let's go for a walk. And then somebody will tag along. Well, today Romeo tagged along. And Romeo did great. And then when I was petting Skipper and Romeo wanted attention and Romeo started getting closer, Skipper gave her a few kicks and she was like, okay, you're having Tracy time. Romeo is really a good little mini horse, and I'm disappointed that we're giving up on the integration process so soon, because I think that Romeo would be a great addition, and especially if Carlene gets the van that would fit Romeo along with Dane's, that would be just amazing for her to be able to have Romeo here, to be able to use Romeo as a therapy horse. And Romeo is sweet. Romeo's skittish. Romeo's a horse. Romeo doesn't have the confidence that a donkey has. And so, of course, Romeo acts in a way that's very different from donkeys. And I know it seems unpleasant to you, but I remember I'll give a story. When I was brand new to this place, which isn't that long ago, I was in the barn taking care of Butterscotch, and all of a sudden a newcomer came, and they threw it in with Butterscotch. And that night I got home, and I could tell it was a little off-putting to Butterscotch to have this donkey thrown in with her. And so I get home, and all night long I was getting messages about them kicking each other. And I panicked. I was like, oh my God, they're kicking each other. That's terrible. And the next day I said to Carlene, I told her what was going on, and she looked at me and she says, anybody bleeding? Any bones broken? They're good. And I have kind of just relied on Carlene's wisdom, which she has lots of it. There isn't any real aggression going on between any of them. they play. Even Romeo plays in the pasture, and they chase each other, and I think it's really cute, and I'm just a little disappointed that we're giving up already on Romeo. Miss Carlene mentioned putting more flooring in the stalls. Has that been put on the calendar? She mentioned it to me, and I think that's all being planned for like spring. Winter is not the time for any of that. And I think we're going to be putting in the breezeway where the mats are, we're going to be pulling all of those out, and then you put the same like stone stuff that they put in the driveway, like the driveway down in that area, that's going to go underneath, because there's a lot of like divots, and even like getting into the first stall, there's a big hole like under the mat, so you have to be so careful in going in and out of the stalls because of that. But I haven't really gotten a timeline on when, but I know it'll be like spring or something like that. Am I going to train Flossie to trailer up too? I should, and I think that's something that I definitely should do. I think I have some questions for people that may know more than I do. I definitely wanted to ask Carlene, at what point do we determine I'm successful with her on lead and halter trained? When do you determine she is trained? Because right now she's in training. So I'm wondering, what are the markers that say she's good to go? She is definitely halter trained. Also, today I put the halter on without any help, which means she's getting better at that. She's more acclimating to having that. Maggie asked if I have any past experience, and we have covered this before, but I'm happy to mention, no, I started working here the end of August. I think it was the end of August last year. I had never really had a lot of interaction other than feeding donkeys carrots and petting them across a fence prior to coming here, and my first day mucking stalls and just kind of being thrown into the herd. And then me being Tracy, I had to read every book. I had to watch every YouTube video on care and training, and I asked a lot of questions when I could ask, because usually I'm alone. But no, thank you for saying I'm a natural. I enjoy it. Okay. There's a lot of puppy interaction going on, which is pretty darn cute. But no, so I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm sure gaining a lot, we could say. Do you use straw on the floors? I know you like the shavings. The difference between shavings and straw is shavings are much easier to clean. When you use straw, you pretty much have to remove almost all of it when you clean, when you muck stalls. Shavings, you can save a lot of shavings from one day to the next, so you're not completely removing everything. I know they don't have to be mucked daily, but we do muck daily. And with straw, you wouldn't muck daily because you'd be going through a lot of straw, and it would be a lot more expensive, and it's honestly not as efficient. Straw, when it gets moist, molds in the summer, not in the winter, but it molds and can create respiratory problems too if you really don't remove all of it. So it is a little bit more costly. Let me see if there's any more questions. Going to Hamilton is going to Janine's property, as far as I know. So that's where Romeo is going to go. Because they're going to use Romeo as a therapy dog and visit facilities. That's why I was really excited for Carlene to do that. Romeo has kicked everybody. Everybody has kicked everybody. And I know that that's upsetting to watch on camera, but nobody gets hurt. It's part of their, it's part of what they have to do to integrate. They have to have a pecking order. There's a hierarchy in any herd, and any newcomer needs to establish where they are in the hierarchy. And from the time that Romeo got here, Romeo thought Romeo was at the top and needed to exert himself in order to not be just treated really badly. They know they have a plan, they work it out amongst themselves. Nobody has been hurt by Romeo. And I know that when you see them kicking each other, it's alarming, but it's what they do. It's part of their equineness. That's what they're going to do, and they work it out. I'm going to read a little bit here, so forgive me. Romeo does come in the barn, and they all used to leave. Now they don't all leave. Now some leave, and I hear Mo do her, which means that Romeo is coming. I can tell without looking that Romeo is eating the hay that Mo wants, and sometimes I see them sharing. I don't know how to describe it any better. They're working it out. It hasn't been very long that Romeo has been here, and you have to remember Butterscotch was horrible. So they see basically the same animal and a history of what they had with Butterscotch. So they're reacting initially as if Romeo was Butterscotch. And as they've integrated, now they're just getting so much better, but it is what it is. Let me see what else there is. He is fine, and the kicking goes along with the donkey, with each other. When Harley first arrived, she did a lot of kicking. Yeah, Nana Mary has a good point. They all kind of do it until they establish themselves. And I'm just going to do a sidebar because we're talking about hierarchy with donkeys. Any foal assumes the same hierarchy as their mother, and right from the get-go. And that may change over time, but the herd treats the foal as the same as, which I think is really interesting. I don't know if I'm describing it adequately, but that's one of the things that I've read. I don't like her mouse. I don't know how to use it. And now I've got the spinning. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm looking for questions here. Oh, thanks, Kathy. She says that she's not going to give up on Romeo. He is a sweetie. He is really sweet. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, or if you... Who was the camera operator that day? I can't even remember. But I was instructed by Janine to be low, get on my knees, and hand feed Butterscotch treats because we thought Butterscotch was pregnant. And I was doing great. She seemed to be doing so much better. She would actually give kisses. And then the next thing you know, she bit me. And I was a little afraid of her. So Romeo showing up on the scene, I was a little afraid of Romeo too. And Romeo has proven to me to be a sweetheart. I have no idea how old Romeo is. I don't have any history at all on Romeo other than from the day that he showed up here and Janine said, I'm taking Butterscotch and I'm leaving Romeo. And then I found out that Romeo was indeed a therapy animal that's already trained. And he is really a sweet horse, but it is what it is. I don't have any control about that. But horses and donkeys are different animals. I mean, you know, donkeys are predators and horses are prey. And so if he didn't exert himself, he would not be very high on the hierarchy at all. And nobody wants to be the last one to eat, the last one to get grain, the last one for everything, the one that is pushed aside. I mean, and you know that's how it is with donkeys. They have a hierarchy, and who gets to eat first is going to be the same every day. Who's the first at the trough, and who's going to be able to take over the trough and eat the... Oh, I have such cute donkeys back here, or dogs back here, but it's what they do. The other thing I found really interesting that I read about the other day, I don't see any more questions. The other thing that I found really interesting is braying. because I get very different reactions when I show up. Now, I park, I don't know if you're not familiar with the farm, the arena goes to that second little pasture area where there's a little barn. Well, I park there. I don't park in the parking pit, just because there's a lot of people don't want to park back there, and I just happen to like it, and it's close, and I can always see if there's new donkeys, because I usually don't know until I get here if we've gotten extra donkeys. So I always park there. Well, if the kids, the donkeys, I call them the kids, are all out in the pasture, and they see me pull up, and as soon as I get out of the car, Fred will start braying, or they make their little mumbly bray, and it's really funny. They do know me from quite a distance, which I think is really kind of cute, and I love it. It makes me happy when I show up. Hi! Hi. When I show up and the donkeys are happy to see me. Let's see, there's some more comments.
How are you?
Yeah, that's right, Kathy. The last one to be picked for the softball team. And, of course, Romeo didn't want to be the last to be picked. Goofy question probably. Do you think that Flossie or any there could be trained to visit with Dearest Carlene and Time Traveler Judy to the homes? And I think any of them could be trained. That is something that is a little bit trickier because of their size. And so they could all be trained, and actually Marianne at Equine at the rescue, she has interest in training, and I would, if she has much more training experience than I do. I would love to work with her and learn as much as I possibly can to train them to the best of my ability. Not so much for them to be adoptable, but because, the ones that are permanent residents here, they need to be trained too, just so they're good citizens, and so they're good with people and all that good stuff. So Romeo will still be a therapy horse. Yes, the intent is that Romeo is already a trained therapy horse. And so he will be, it's just we won't be able to utilize him as a therapy horse like we intended. Oh, I don't remember what story, Kathy. Was it the one today? I think it was probably the one today where I was, sorry, phone's ringing. I don't know I don't remember what the one was last week. I always have stories, but I don't remember. So yeah, Romeo will still be a therapy horse. The next thing to really do is start training Fred. And we've discussed it before here on the Bray. I fear once he's halter trained, he's going to be quicker to find a permanent home. But then Amber said one day, that she always gets sad when they leave. But then, like Curly, she found a beautiful home, and I was really happy for her that she found such an exquisite place to live. And so I have to just hope that when they leave here, they're going to go to exquisite, loving homes, and it makes room for more rescues. Amber had to kind of call me on that and bring me, have that light bulb moment that yes, if Flossie goes, that means we have room for more. But Fred, and I really do love Fred. Fred is really an awesome little guy. And it's funny because I do talk to Wade a lot, and he asks a lot of questions, and we were talking today why they end up in rescue and why they end up in the kill pens and all of that. And it's like you can go buy a donkey for $150, and to have a donkey castrated is $600. So it's cheaper to just send them off to the kill pen and get another one. Isn't that crazy? That to me is absolutely, it's just beyond my comprehension in so many ways. But it's funny, a few things that I did learn from my donkey companion book. The author should send me whatever commission we get from sales on this. But anyway, they were saying that jacks like to bray. They love to bray. They like to hear themselves bray. So they'll do it for welcoming. They'll do it when they hear others in the distance. And they also just do it just for the sheer fun of braying. And they also said that if you see a jack in the pasture and they shake their head a lot and bray and act like uncomfortable, like there's something wrong with their ears, rain's coming. So I'm going to have to watch for that and see if any of the males do that. It sounds a little preposterous, but maybe it's true. So I've got a statement here. Let me read it. This is the first time I've been on when you're talking about what you do with the donkeys. Very interesting and enjoyable. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. I love what I do. I love the opportunity that I have to be here with the equines. Oh, okay, yes. All right. Somebody said that when they hear Karen show up on her scooter, Scooter Karen, when she shows up, that they all bray and run. Yes, they absolutely know you. I was watching a video the other day, speaking of that. I was watching a video the other day of this woman who had raised a donkey from birth for, I guess she had it a couple of years, and then she found a home for it, and she went back to visit it I think it was like 5 years later, and as soon as she was on the scene, this donkey exploded in braying, runs to the fence, immediately puts its head on her shoulder, and they remember, they know us. Once you've been in their lives, they don't forget, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Joan asked if there's a difference in meaning in the movements of their ears, and that's something that we have talked about before. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Do you want to come join me on the bray? There is a difference. They'll move one ear back because they're listening to something over here. Both ears go back. They're hearing a lot of something, or somebody's getting too close. Their ear movements mean different things, and they mean different things at different times. Their ears can be back simply when they're approaching you, and that doesn't mean anything unless they're doing it in an aggressive manner. And so you have to read the whole situation with their ears. If you see two together and their ears go back, that's usually aggression, or my food, not real. I hate to use the word aggression, just they're kind of exerting themselves, saying, hey, that's mine. But yeah, the ears definitely mean different things. Okay, there's another question. If they don't go to a forever home, we would not, home would not see more babies being born because there wouldn't be enough room to bring in more donkeys to be prepared for better places. Right, exactly. She's basically reiterating what I said, that, we love the donks, and I love Fred, and I love all of them, and Skipper's going to go back to where Skipper was in a foster home situation, but in a very loving, where the woman just absolutely adores Skipper. And Skipper is a real sweet donkey. So yeah, they don't stick around forever. The ones that we have, they're here hopefully forever. But yeah, it's definitely challenging. Another thing that I'm going to share with you, because it's been 30 minutes, so I'll wrap it up. But another thing that I read from the Donkey Companion, I wish I had the book, but actually I have it on electronic book, so I can take it to work with me. It was funny that I've been trying some different training techniques with the donkeys, and some of the things that are mentioned in the Donkey Companion about training is that tapping the nose and no, it might work a little bit, but the cues that they know and understand are those of another donkey. So they want you to posture like a donkey in order to train, dissuade, show boundaries. So they even went so far as to say, if you've got your back to them, you're filling water, you're doing whatever you're doing, and the donkeys keep crowding you from behind, they actually said to place your hand behind you and wag it like a tail, which is a little like sign that they're trying to tell. Sorry, I'm looking at the puppies. That they're actually giving a sign to, you know, the person or the donkey behind them to back up. And if that doesn't work, stomp. You can stomp and turn around and glare. And that's another thing that donkeys do to one another. Well, I tried the foot stomp with Flossie, and it's brilliant. It works amazingly. You can also wave hands, but I don't want to scare her. I just want to stop what she's doing. So when oh, sorry, I left my coat over there. Okay. I'll do the foot stomp and I'll say no, and she immediately stops whatever it is that she's doing that might be challenging me at the moment, like biting my pockets or, you know, just looking for treats, the usual Flossie behavior. I don't have any more questions or comments. I thank you for those that did submit them, and thank you so much for all of your support too. I'm sorry that I'm taking a hard stance on Romeo, but I was really disappointed that we didn't give him more of a chance. And I know that you watch him all the time on the cameras, but I'm still a little bit disappointed because I really think he's a sweetie, and I think it would be really fun to go with him and use him as a therapy, a little therapy horse, because he's cute. But you guys are wonderful. And also, I forgot, oh my gosh, I forgot. Somebody, I don't know who, an anonymous source sent me this beautiful mug, and it says, I just really like donkeys, okay? And I love this. And I thank you for sending me that. That was really incredibly kind. And it really was very touching. I get touched a little easily, though, too. I'm an emotional girl. But thank you so much, everybody. And this is the end of today's Bray. I will be back on Sunday, if not sooner, and doing some well, I think it might be kind of icky weather. I think it might snow on Sunday. We'll see. But it was wonderful chatting with you, and I look forward to next week when we do it all over again. Everybody take care.